Pardon me. We're on. Hello, everybody. I can see it says my name, so that's a bit of a bonus. But I will introduce myself anyway, in case you haven't been along before. I'm Sam Johnson. I am Mr. Lisa Johnson, as I like to introduce myself as, and I am the copywriter for Team LJ. And I'm very excited to be doing these interviews, and especially today. We are going to be talking to Rupinder, who is one of our success stories from OTM over the last, was it a couple of years ago you did it, I think?
Yeah, I did it during lockdown, so it has been a few years, but I've done it a few times. I've done it a few times since.
Amazing. Yeah, and a lot of people do, don't they? Well, I mean, what I'd like to do to start off with is just get you to tell us a bit about yourself, really. I mean, and then we'll go into a bit more before OTM, after OTM, what happened throughout it. But can you just tell us a bit about you, what you do, what your business is, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, of course. Hey, Sam. Hi, everyone. So I'm Rupinder Kaur. I'm the founder of Asian Women Mean Business. We are an online and offline community that's all about supporting South Asian women, their dreams, their hopes, their ambitions, and raising their visibility and confidence. My background is in human resources. So I did a degree in psychology and I have a master's in HR. And I was actually probably one of those very lucky, fortunate people who stumbled into a career, and I loved it. And it was during my time in HR where I was very quickly promoted. I was a head of HR at 27. And I looked around and I just didn't see anyone else that looked like me. And I was walking into these boardrooms and they didn't look like me. And I just felt really passionate about advocating for more women, more representation, more diversity, and really unpacking what was happening behind the scenes. And so that's what led to what was my side hustle. So AWMB was a side hustle to my HR career. And then it just exploded. And I had to make a choice whether I carried on with HR and had a side hustle or whether I went all in. And January 2020, I had made the decision to go all in. And we all know what happened in 2020.
Yeah, it wasn't quite what we were expecting, was it? So isn't that interesting that you found a career that you really loved? I think that's quite unusual, unless you're a footballer or something like that, So yes, because you're quite a people-y person, aren't you? You're conversational. You're very easy to get on with. I find easy to chat to. So let's go back to then. Let's go back to what your business looked like before you joined One to Many. Like, where were you at with it at that point?
Yeah, so my story is, as most stories are, quite unique to the person, but I don't think unusual. So I actually had launched a variation of AWMB back in 2013. Wow. I had my daughter, she was a couple of years old. I knew I didn't want to go back into full-time work. I knew I wanted to do something like this. So I set up Asian Women Mean Business then, but it had no strategy, it had no structure, it had a lot of passion, a lot of soul, a lot of purpose. But what I was doing, Sam, was I was running up and down the country, hosting these networking events in London and Birmingham. I just didn't know what I didn't know. And it led to burnout because I was trying to figure it all out by myself and it just didn't work out. So I parked Asian Women Mean Business. I actually went back into HR and I got like a 3-day job, and I just thought, when the time's right, I'll come back to this. And the time felt right a few years later in 2019, so I came back to it. But I was really intentional. I thought, I need to learn, how do I monetize my passion? How do I monetize my purpose? That doesn't pay the bills. That alone isn't enough. And so that was a background to it. And so it took a lot of courage to resurrect AWMB, and the humiliation factor was real because I had tried it before and it just didn't work. And I know now, because I can look back and think, oh, it didn't work because I didn't know the methodology. I didn't know what I didn't know.
But it's hard because, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud, because when it is your passion that drives you, which is fundamentally huge to running your own business, right? And I know Lisa is very clear on that, you know, your passion is what drives it all. So that, you sort of said the kind of not embarrassment, I can't remember the word you used, it might have been embarrassment of it not working the first time. That must have taken quite a lot of courage to go, do you know what? It means so much to me, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I was embarrassed, and I think the word I used was, I felt humiliated. I felt rejected. I felt like, and quite rightly, so the people close to me were saying, well, what's different this time? How are you going to make it work this time? Because it didn't work the first time.
Yeah.
But I knew that the idea had legs. Because I could see others. I could see memberships and courses and programs and events that were making profit. And I thought, if they're doing it, there must be a way that I can do it too. But like you said, that it did involve a little bit of digging into myself, and I would just say to everyone else who's in that position as well, like, don't be afraid to give it a go again. Like, just because it didn't work the first time round, don't hold yourself back. That's
a massive life lesson, even, isn't it? You know, like, everything's a learning. It's that old cliche: you don't fail, you learn. So was it at that point that were you thinking about restarting, and then you came across One to Many? Was that the kind of timeline here?
Yeah, it all kind of worked really beautifully and magically together. There's a saying, isn't there, that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that was certainly the case for me. So I really felt ready in the beginning of 2020. I was a head of HR. In 2019, I was a head of HR for a human rights charity here in London. And AWMB was my side hustle. But the only thing I was doing was quarterly retreats and networking events. And off the back of that, I had launched a coaching program. So I knew that there was something in this that could work. So I'd handed in my notice, was getting all geared up. And then obviously we know what happened in 2020. We kept hearing the whispers of COVID, and it made its appearance here in the UK. But at that time, it was also a time when I was really exploring and thinking, what would it look like to have a membership? What would it look like if I was able to pivot this? But how? How do I do that? I've tried it before and it didn't work. I can't do it by myself. And that's when, the challenge happened and the masterclass happened, and it all came together so beautifully.
Love that. Sometimes it's that old cliche, it was kind of meant to happen. The timing just worked right. It didn't work out the first time round, and this time OTM was there. You came across Lisa. So you started on One to Many, and I wonder, what I always like to ask people is, when you start to do it, what was your kind of the shift? What was there a moment when you were in there and you thought, you know what, my whole structure now, I understand how this is going to work out? Or was it more of a gradual kind of seeping into the way you worked?
Yeah, for me, the light bulb moment went off during the challenge, and seeing and understanding from Lisa, oh my goodness, like, this is a jigsaw puzzle. There's a methodology here that has to be followed. And that was a real moment of clarity for me. And then the masterclass obviously pulled it together. And what One to Many did was just absolutely give that strategy and give the methodology to follow. And I was so hungry for it because I'd failed before, whatever failure looked like, and I was so determined to make it work that I remember thinking, I've got the passion, I know I can do this, I just have to follow what she's telling me to do. And then it was a case of just implementing, right, this is a homework, go away and do it, go and implement it, and keep learning and keep building on it.
I think that's a really good point, because passion and determination, they were traits you already had, right? But what you needed was the strategy to turn that passion and that determination, and you used the word implementation, to implement that in a strategic way. And I think that's one of the things with OTM, isn't it? a lot of people have the passion, but the missing piece, and you said it's like a jigsaw, the missing pieces are those bits about how do we transform that passion into something that is actually going to be profitable and sustainable. So let's talk a bit about the changes to your business from before than you did one to many, and to lead to you to where you are now. So I'd love to know about how your business looks now and how it compares to where you were before.
Yeah, so I launched our membership, and this was a membership idea I had sat on for a long time. I feel quite embarrassed saying this, but I'm sure I'm not the only one.
No,
I sat on our AWMB membership, which is called Inspire Club. It's a personal and professional development club for South Asian women. I sat on that idea for 5 years.
Right.
I knew that I wanted to do it. I knew I wanted it to be monetized. I just couldn't figure out what are all the parts of this jigsaw that I need to put together in order to make this work. And so the first thing,
I bet you were speaking to people all the time who were going, "Oh, that sounds amazing. I'd love to do that."
Yeah, I did. And I was also speaking to people who were saying, "Oh, go and speak to so-and-so. They will help you with this part. Go and speak to so-and-so. They will help you with that part." And what felt like it was missing was, I don't want to go from coach to coach. I don't want to go from mentor. I want to go to one place, get all the information, and then implement. And that's what I found with one-to-many. Like, you literally go through every single stage. And so I followed it and I implemented and I launched our membership. So we launched our membership Inspire Club in 2020. We opened doors to 135 founding members.
Wow.
Which it blew me away.
Yeah, so that's amazing.
Within 6 weeks, I had recouped the investment I had made in one-to-many. Like, it blew me away.
That's an amazing quote right there, isn't it? Within 6 weeks, you've recouped your investment in OTM.
Yeah, within 6. The sense of validation I had, and the sense of I knew this could work, I just didn't know how. Was just such a gloriful moment. But our membership has been running for 5.5 years. It's going to be 6 years this May. And I do think numbers are important because they're part of the story. But for me, I have a young family. I have the same financial obligations as so many have. And in year one, my membership made £80,000. And that just blew me away. The fact that I could do something I loved was so purpose-driven that could make me money on working considerably less hours than I was working in my HR career. What that did to my brain chemistry, and I know lots of people talk about this, but when they work with Lisa, because she's such an expander, and one-to-many is such an expander, it shows you what's possible when you implement. And what that did to my brain chemistry, there was no going back. Like, what it did to my confidence, what it did to me as a person, because I just thought, if I can do this and it can work for this, it can work for so many other things. Wow. And I think it's also really important to talk about the stability and the sustainability of what we're building as well, and the foundations of what we're building. So I've been running this membership for like I said, 6 years this May. Last year was a big year for us. It was our 5th birthday. We celebrated it with an event at the Houses of Parliament. We had 150 guests there. It was so lovely, Sam. My parents were there, and my parents don't quite get what I do.
We get a bit of that. You just muck about on the internet.
What? And so I tell them, I help women with their confidence, but they came to this event and they were so moved, like to be in this room with 150 people, with our members, with our advocates, with our incredible guests, to look out and see the difference and the impact that the membership and the community have. It was, there's some moments that are going to stay with you. Like, that's going to just stay with me for a lifetime.
Special, isn't it? And what I love is what you said about it's impact driven. And it clearly is. And you're so passionate. And obviously you've created this amazing community that was blatantly needed, right? Because of the success you've had. But I love the point you made about people sometimes have an issue with impact and profitability sitting next to each other, almost like, I couldn't make money out of that. I mean, you can still follow your passion, you can still make impact, you can still do the right thing. It doesn't mean you can't be running a profitable business, because you mentioned about the first year, the amount you made, what the change that made to you, not just financially, but to your kind of state of mind. You know, you were working less hours, and yet you'd managed to create this amazing place for people, which I absolutely love. So I love that you've kind of brought it all together. You brought the passion, you brought the impact, you brought the profit, and you've also really nailed the whole recurring revenue model benefits of, like, you don't have to be knackering yourself out by working all the hours, but yet you can still provide this amazing service.
Yeah, it really, it's been such a blessing. It really, I genuinely, I wake up every day and I think I get to do this for work.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you feel like someone's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, this isn't real. Because the ripple effect of what we're doing and what our community is doing, and I'm seeing that. I'm seeing, you know, not just with our members and the people that we work with. I go to events and I have members, husbands and brothers and fathers come up to me and say, we see what you do, and so-and-so's in your community, and we've seen her grow in confidence. And I have women come to me and say, I went for that promotion. Just today, I had an email from someone who said, I advocated for myself at work and I got this, this and this. And
Amazing.
The joy that brings me and how that boosts me. But like you said, you can still have that impact and have a profitable business. Absolutely. Because it's in no one's best interest for me to be broke, or for me not to be able to serve my community, to not be able to serve and pay for the technology that supports my community, or the people that support it, or the speakers that we bring in. That helps no one. So we've got to make money out of what we're doing and then use that money for good. And I don't have any qualms in doing that.
No, absolutely right. And like you say, you want to keep providing an amazing service, creating this amazing space, giving great opportunities. And the two of them, and the making money and doing that, is intrinsically linked. I think one of Lisa's biggest sales points, if you like, is her integrity, her ethics. You know, we always bang on about it. And in this online world, there are some shady characters around, let's say, and there's a lot of noise. And I think what one to many does is it cuts through that noise. You know, this is a process you follow. You have to do the work. And you mentioned earlier that you did it, you followed it, you kind of got your head down and did what was required to build those foundations for what you already knew you wanted to do. So what an amazing story. I was a little bit moved, actually, at some of the things you said about your mum and dad. What an amazing, like you said, that will stay with you forever, won't it? What an amazing achievement.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, that moment's been incredible. There have been so many incredible moments that have happened over the last few years that when I think back and think, where did the confidence come from doing this? It came from working with Lisa and having those seeds planted in one to many, because I don't know, the structure is important, the methodology is important, the knowledge is important. You've got to know what you're doing, and you've got to have confidence in what you're being told, and there's got to be credibility that, oh, that worked for this person, and I can see how it worked for that person, and I can see if I implement it, it can work for me. But what that then follows out through from that is, if I can do this, what more is possible? Right. And so some of the things I've been doing over the last few years, you know, I have a passion and an interest for the outdoors. I love hiking. I love taking groups of women outdoors. A few years ago, I took the first all South Asian female group to Tanzania, and we climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. And we were a group of from 29 up to 55. So mums, wives, daughters, grandmothers. It had never been done before. I pulled the group together. We had a filmmaker join us. We had a documentary filmed. Where did I get the audacity to even think that was possible? It was because I had success with my business, with my membership, with the courses and the programs that we're doing. I could see the implementation of that working. You know, the year after, we went to Machu Picchu. Last year, I took a group to Nepal. We went to climb to Everest Base Camp.
I wish I could come in your group. I don't think I quite fit the demographic, unfortunately, but it does sound amazing. But I mean,
we're going to stick a wig and a sari on you and see. See if we get
I'm not sure whether I'd get away with that one, but they just sound like an amazing trip. And I guess what a beautiful story that, you know, when you started One to Many, you had this passion and you just needed this platform. You needed something. And I love what you've referenced here is the growth. So it's not just doing One to Many, it's what that brings to you, to your business, to your structure, to your foundation, to all of those things for you to enable you to move on and on and on. And I mean, wow, the stuff you're doing, that's absolutely outrageous. I love it. I absolutely love it. I need to remember I've got to ask you some questions because I just want to know about Machu Picchu now. But yeah, here's a good one.
We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, let's do that. Here's one that is really key. So say someone's watching this, or they've been following, or they've done the challenge and they're thinking about it, which is, you know, the age-old thing. You know, we all know we all got decisions to make about where we spend our money, no matter where we are in life. What would you say to someone who's on the fence? Because I think this is the stories you're telling are amazing. But I wonder if you could kind of summarize that. If someone was in your shoes as you were, 5-6 years ago, what would you say to them?
I would just say I understand the hesitancy, and I understand the uncertainty. And I think you said something really poignant earlier when you said there's a lot of noise and there's lots of things that we can invest in and make decisions on. I would just suggest do your research and really, you know, speak to people that have done the program and what they've got from it. Really tap into how you have found the challenge and what you've taken away from it. But ultimately, you do have to make a decision. And what I have found is the thing that's usually stopping us is fear.
Yeah.
And not just fear of what if I do this and it doesn't work out, but also what if I do this and it does work out? What does that look like for me? What are the implications of that? But I just think, you know, Lisa's track record speaks for itself, and how she's been able to help so many of us take what we know, take what we're passionate about, and pull together our courses, our memberships, our programs, and turn them into things that make us profit, but we still have deep impact with. I think that speaks of volumes. So I would just really, really encourage you to really think about all of those different things and just know that this isn't a quick fix. It never is. This is something that you're going to have to take and implement. But I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I've been able to take what I have learned in One to Many. And one of the wonderful things about One to Many is that you get lifetime access to the content. So I still go back to the content, and it's almost like this checkbox, like, have I done that? Have I done that? Have I done that? With everything that I'm implementing. So there's so many advantages to being in it. And the other thing I would just add is there are going to be so many people in your real life world that don't understand what we do.
Yeah.
I have that. I've got people in my life who are like, I don't get it. And I've, mentioned my parents, and there are others. It's so important to be with people that do understand what you're doing, who are going to champion you, who are going to support you, who are not just going to say, do it, but are going to say, do it, and this is how.
Yeah.
I've met some of the best business besties through Lisa Johnson. We're so grateful for her. She attracts the best people because you attract what you are. So if you are purpose-led, integrity-led, if you're going to speak honestly and candidly with transparency, you're going to have those people in your world. And those are the people that you'll find in One to Many. So not only will you meet incredible people, you'll have the best resources to support you. Those are the things I would say to anyone who's saying.
I love that, because your passion is just a shining light when you talk. It's very evident. And I would 100% back you up. Obviously, I've been in Lisa's world since the start and I've seen it. But the one thing I would say is, and you nailed it, the people who come into Lisa's world stay in Lisa's world. And you come across so many amazing people that you can recommend with absolute confidence, or you can work with absolute confidence, because that's just the way it works. So it's been lovely talking to you. Honestly, you're such a positive personality, and I hope people can see that, how One to Many helped you to really harness what you already knew you had and shape it into something that is profitable, that has changed the way you work, that has, done so much good for so many people. It's been amazing to chat. I really appreciate you coming on. And we'll talk Machu Picchu another time.
Thanks, Sam. I've loved this.
Right.
I love being part of Lisa's world. I've loved One to Many, and like I said, I've done it so many times. It's a really great program. The community, everything, it really is the best that's out there. So I have zero zero hesitancy in recommending it. And yeah, let's talk about Machu Picchu. And
All right, we will. Thanks for coming on. Take care.
See you next time.
Bye.